From the 1011 Now streaming studio in Lincoln, Nebraska, this is the N Report Husker Show, sponsored by Fat Dog's Convenience Store.
Hi, everyone. Bill Rentschler alongside Sports Director Kevin Sjuts in the 1011 Now streaming studio. Another edition of the N Report Husker Show brought to you by Fat Dog's Convenience Store. Kevin, a couple of headlines that we kind of want to hit on when it comes to Husker sports. The one that dropped today, I'm interested in your take on Nebraska football canceling their home-and-home series with Tennessee for the 2026 and 2027 season, saying they want more home games in 2027, a reduced capacity, stadium renovations. They canceled the Tennessee matchup.
You want my opinion on this?
Yeah.
You're not going to get it. No, I'm dead serious. I'm not going to. I am exhausted with consuming opinions about Nebraska, Tennessee. You know that game is in 19 months.
Yeah, long ways away.
For some fans and some of the people that I associate with, this is a little too energy sucking for an event that is 19 months away. So I am aware that there is a desire to have this game and the series played a home and home between
two marquee programs,
a Big Ten program and an SEC program. They've only played 3 times previously. They've all been in bowl games, not to mention one was for a national championship. But man, there was just a lot of unnecessary energy spent, in my opinion, debating who's in the right and who's in the wrong. Mm-hmm. Both schools have their reasons. I'm just kind of over the back and forth angst, anger. You're wrong. Danny White's throwing shade at Nebraska. Troy Dannon makes his points. Apparently Nebraska tried to kick the can down the road. You know this game was supposed to be played in 2014? Yeah. It got delayed over a decade.
That's a long time.
In 2014, I don't remember everybody just start to throw mud at each other because Nebraska and Tennessee decided not to play the games when they were. So I don't know. My opinion on the matter is, Bill, talking about something that's going to happen in 19 months and wasting all of that energy is so unproductive.
Yeah.
So let's talk about baseball, softball, wrestling, track and field, bowling, state wrestling. I don't care. Let's talk about things that are playing right now and where there is substance to it.
Herbie Husker throwing a gutter ball.
I mean, let's talk about Herbie Husker kicking off the Nebraska Big Red Invitational. Thank you. That's the title of it. The only home series, home event for Nebraska bowling, ranked number 1 in the country, kicked off by Herbie Husker with the first roll.
And Danielle had actually told me the last time Nebraska hosted this event a couple years ago, but
yeah.
That year they, I believe, won the national championship.
And it's at Hollywood Bowl, which is really close to our studio. So I've not been over there yet. I was there a couple years ago when they hosted it, and the crowds were fantastic.
Yeah. Saturday and Sunday, starting at 8:30. If anyone wants to go, it should be a good time.
Right.
So basketball ongoing, men's basketball, kind of a bad loss to Penn State there over the weekend.
That was a turn the page, let's act like it didn't happen kind of game.
Yeah, tough road trip for him.
But Bill, it's a long season too. Is Nebraska going to play at an elite level every time?
No.
Do any college basketball teams play at an elite level throughout a 32-game schedule?
I would say very few.
Very few. You're allowed bad games. That was bad. And I think what was really frustrating for fans is, as exciting as the comeback was against Northwestern, that first half was pretty atrocious. And their next first half, which was in Happy Valley, is probably worse. So they've had a few of the last 4 halves they've played, 2 of them are among the worst of the entire season. And right now is a time where you should be trending upward. And right now, Nebraska is still in the NCAA tournament conversation. They may be on the bubble now, back to on the bubble. They're in the Big Ten tournament right now, 9th. But look out, the Big Ten could get a little topsy-turvy here over the next couple of weeks. And if that's the case and Nebraska continues to skid, then they're going to fight for a Big Ten tournament berth. They're currently in 9th.
And so I think, Penn State had lost, I think it was 11 of 12. And I think
7 in a row.
And that was the frustrating part. It's like, there's never an easy night in the Big Ten.
But they have
on the road.
But they have Ace Baldwin.
Yeah.
He's an all Big Ten caliber player, a veteran. He can command any offense in the Big Ten and have success. And that's a team that everybody kind of scoffs that they've lost it. Penn State had lost so many games, 11 of 12. They lost 7 in a row. You know what my interpretation of that is? They were due.
Yeah.
Nebraska's been in that spot, right?
Yeah, 6 in a row.
Nebraska's been in the spot in previous years where they're in February and there's not a whole lot to play for, but then out of nowhere, a really good game comes together. Mm-hmm. The guys are in the right mental space. They're making shots. There's a great game plan. Fred Hoiberg had that happen 3-4 years ago when they spoiled Wisconsin's senior night and cost the Badgers the Big Ten championship.
That was in Madison, too.
It was in Madison.
Yeah.
It was in February. So sometimes the teams toward the bottom have good games. Sometimes teams toward the top have bad games. That same Penn State team walloped Purdue earlier this season.
Yeah, of all teams.
And I do think that these teams at the bottom of the Big Ten, the fact that not everybody makes the conference tournament, there's 18 teams, 15 get to go to Indianapolis. Right now, a team like Penn State, they have something to play for. It's not like they're just going to fade out of the regular season and then go play in the tournament. No, they're fighting to get into the conference tournament, and I think that is motivating some of these teams near the bottom. Yep. Northwestern won last night. They're trying to get into the conference tournament.
That opens up a whole other discussion about whether you put all 18 teams in or do it like this, but probably don't have time for it today.
But I think we're seeing some of the benefits of not everybody getting in.
Yeah.
At least for those teams toward the end.
Yeah, I'd agree. Bracket matrix, which again I know, there's Ken Pond.
Oh, here we go. Hit me. I haven't looked.
I mean,
I know you follow
this was
it.
Updated as of yesterday. They're in all 108 brackets. They're running like right on the edge between a 9 and a 10 seed. So they're probably in that first 4 play-in, Dayton, whatever it is, but solidly in still right now.
Well, they play Michigan on Monday. That's their next game. Michigan currently leads the Big Ten. Wolverines' huge game tonight. They're taking on Michigan State. It's 1 versus 2 in the Big Ten. 7 o'clock tip on Fox. That's going to be an awesome game to watch. Regardless of the outcome, Michigan's either going to be tied for first place or they're going to have it all by themselves. And that's going to be a very tough game. But the good news is Nebraska's had some time to get back to Lincoln, catch their breath, reset, game plan for the best team in the league, and then also play them at home.
Yep. Three out of their last 4 here to finish the season at home, which, again, between the West Coast road trip, Northwestern, and then Penn State, they've been on the road a lot over the last
But I don't know,
weeks.
this Michigan game, what's to lose? I don't know. You told me, how many bracket projections are there? 108? Does losing to Michigan move Nebraska off of some of those brackets?
You would think no.
They're the best team in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
It's those subsequent games. Those are the ones.
Minnesota at home, Ohio State on the road, Iowa at home.
Those are big games.
Yeah. Do you think win 2 and they're probably safely in?
Of those final 4?
Yeah.
Right now, and Nebraska's 4 games left?
Yeah.
Well, I said before Penn State with 5, 3 you're really good. 2, I think you're still okay.
Okay.
So I'd still say of the final 4, 2 wins get you. If you beat Michigan,
you're in.
Yeah, I think you're in.
Yeah, I'd agree. Amy Williams and her squad. You talked last week with Danielle, and you guys talked about they'd kind of been struggling. They lost a couple in a row, and then they turned around and they walloped Maryland, and they did lose to Illinois. But then overtime game against Oregon, Alexis Markowski goes off for 35 and 15. They have senior day on Sunday.
And of the seniors that's getting recognized, one is Alexis Markowski, and I have no idea how she is a senior playing her final game at Pinnacle Bank Arena. Like, this career has just flown by. She's been so good. And Amy Williams has said multiple times this year she's just trying to enjoy this journey of the season because it's Lex's last. Mm-hmm. A Lincoln kid who initially didn't have a whole lot of college interest. She was planning on going up to, I believe, South Dakota State out of high school. She was such a good high school player. It was so fun covering her at Lincoln Pius X. And then Nebraska came in and said, wow, we want you. And now she holds the program record for double-doubles with 50, and she was all Big Ten as a freshman, sophomore, junior. She's been a special talent, and it's been really awesome to witness not just a Nebraska player excel throughout her career, but a Lincolnite do it. And that's also tugged on the heartstrings of so many people that have followed girls basketball across this area because they've known Alexis Markowski for quite a while. And to see her have the success she's had this year, and then to know that she's going to get a huge ovation on Sunday during Senior Day. That's going to be great. There's going to be some tears shed. There's no doubt about that. But the regular season is winding down for Nebraska, and they're in a spot that they can also be going to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, 18-9, 9-7 in the conference. They're going to host Washington, and then they're on the road against Northwestern the following Sunday. And that's it for the regular season, just 2 matchups left.
And then they have a pretty substantial gap before the Big Ten tournament begins for the women.
March 5th.
March 5th. Okay, so the bigger gap I'm thinking of is after Big Ten tournament before the NCAA tournament because they share the same Selection Sunday as the men.
Yeah.
So there is a bit of a gap there, which can be good and bad. So Nebraska improved their NCAA women's tournament chances by winning on Wednesday against Oregon in overtime, which was one of the better games in recent memory in terms of just basketball. Don't know who's going to win. Ebbs and flows. Big shot for Oregon. Big shot for Nebraska. Markowski scores 35. But those are 2 bubble teams that were going head-to-head. And for the Huskers to win that game without Natalie Potts, without Allison Widener, now we're going to add in without Britt Prince, who's nursing an ankle injury. It's a mash unit.
Yeah, it is.
But they're finding a way to win a very important game in terms of their postseason chances.
I say, probably one of Amy Williams' better coaching jobs that she's ever done.
If she gets them to 20, oh my goodness.
I mean, what
are they at right now? 18?
18. So they'd have to win out to get to 20. But, 2 of those, Widener and Potts, I mean, that was at the very beginning of the year. I mean, I think they had barely played even a couple games, and they were already out. So
Potts was very early. Widener was, first third of the season. That's been kind of the hand that they've been dealt, and they have not pouted. That's the commendable thing about this women's team is that they have just trudged on, moved forward, and found ways to, insert players into the lineup, have some girls step up that were probably going to be in complementary roles, and now they're in featured roles. Birdie Rimdahl is one name that comes to mind. She just seems to get better every game that occurs. So it's been a stressful year for this team, but I think they're going to look back on this. If they make the NCAA tournament, and they'll say, wow, with the hand they were dealt, to have the success they've had, that's pretty special. And you know what, Bill? If they don't make the NCAA tournament,
still a great season.
They'd go to the WNIT and they'd host games in the WNIT. Yep. I know a lot of fans might hear that and cringe, like, no, they should be a tournament team. But watching Alexis at home a few more times wouldn't be a bad deal.
No, it absolutely would.
Of course, we'd want them to go to the NCAA tournament.
Yes, of course. Over to the Diamond, Kevin. Baseball and softball kind of in full swing. Again, obviously, they practiced outside a couple weeks ago here in Lincoln. They wouldn't have wanted done that the last week, but they've been down in the desert, wherever it is. I think they're down in Louisiana right now. The baseball team is. The softball team out west. Off to a decent start. I mean, Nebraska baseball win over Vanderbilt was a good win, and over San Diego State too.
They went 2-2 over the opening weekend. Now they're down for a 3-game series against Louisiana. Game 1 is tonight, starting at 6 o'clock. Then they'll have a doubleheader on Saturday. They were supposed to play on Sunday, but there's some weather down there, so they hope to get all 3 games in. And meanwhile, the softball team, they're playing Duke right now, another ranked opponent. They've had a very aggressive schedule, and Rhonda Revelle thinks she has a pretty good squad. They're ranked 16th nationally, and do you have the score of the Duke game, Bill?
Let's see.
Last I saw, it was 0-0. Jordy Ball was pitching a no-hitter in the 4th or 5th inning.
Let's see. Live stats. Duke's ranked 11th.
Yes.
Looks like 0-0. They're in the 8th inning right now.
And they played UCLA, ranked number 4, last night. And then that game was preceded by Nebraska playing Baylor, and they won that game. Jordy Ball had a really nice she got the win in the circle, and Bella Bacon hit a home run for the Huskers.
9-3 to start the season. So, again, it's really nice to see Jordy Ball. There was so much hype last year, and then just that injury happened in the first game. But really, just 12 games in, but she's been incredible. And
you're starting to see the way Nebraska wanted to utilize Jordy, which is so different than what she was doing at Oklahoma. At Oklahoma, when she was the National Player of the Year, she pitched.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
That's it.
She's hitting at Nebraska, and her first at-bat since the injury, she hit a home run. So she's hitting. She's being productive at the plate. She's pitching. She's playing some outfield. Last night against UCLA, she played first base.
not know
So
this.
they're just kind of like, it's almost a little bit like throwback little girl softball.
Yeah.
Where do you want to play? So, okay, go. Knock yourself out. But she's that elite of an athlete that they can do whatever with her. She had an awesome catch on a screaming line drive at first base last night as well. So
one last question I want to ask you, Kevin, because I think it kind of captivated a lot of us. I think you were watching that hockey match last night, the four-nation face-off. Team USA ended up losing, but that was a lot of fun.
You know, Josiah Slavin, one of the starters for Team USA, played for the Lincoln Stars.
I did not know this.
Yeah. That was awesome. You know, the Pro Bowl in the NFL, it's become kind of a joke. Might not even happen anymore. The NBA All-Star Game, kind of a joke. Don't know the future of that. The NHL found something because this was in place of the All-Star weekend for the NHL. And all of a sudden, on a Thursday night in February, everybody is watching U.S. versus Canada.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever turned on a hockey game before, but I turned it on last
Really?
night. Yeah. I mean,
You're missing out, man.
I know. Just hasn't been. But no, I watched it last night. It was great. Sean,
And there's a new wave of talent that's coming up in hockey that's making the sport, I guess, kind of re-energizing the sport. You know, Sidney Crosby is on the tail end of his career. And, of course, if you watch, Connor McDavid makes the game winner in overtime for Canada, and he is the best player in the world right now.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Anything else, Kevin, before we let you go?
Nope.
Awesome. All right, well, appreciate your time. Again, state wrestling is going on tonight.
Semifinals tonight, finals tomorrow at CHI Center in Omaha, 3 o'clock start for the championship round on Saturday.
There we go. So make sure you keep tuned to 1011 on air and online for all those highlights and more. Appreciate everyone for tuning in and watching. Hope everyone has a nice weekend.
You've been listening to the N Report Husker Show, sponsored by Fat Dog's Convenience Store. Watch, listen, and stream on the 1011 Now app, on YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. For more Husker coverage throughout the week, watch the N Report on 1011 Sports at 6 and 10 p.m. and download the 1011 Now app.